Welcome to Momming as a Millennial, the podcast where we explore the intersection of tradition and modern parenting. Have you ever felt overwhelmed trying to balance being a mom with your professional aspirations, all while dealing with side-eye from your parents who think you're doing it wrong? Me too. I'm your host, Christine Gerizzo, a journalist, blogger, and proud mama of 2 young children. I'm so glad you're here with me. Together, we can navigate the complexities of millennial motherhood and find what resonates with our true, authentic selves. Let's dive in. Hello, welcome to another episode of Momming as a Millennial. Today, we are talking about following your dreams. You know, it's really difficult sometimes in life to find what we're passionate about, but it's even harder once we find that passion to actually have the courage to go for it. So I'm really excited to have this conversation, and I have a great guest for it. Lisamarie Pearson. She is owner and founder of Scatterbrain Handmade, based out of Boston, Massachusetts. And I love on your Instagram, you had that you are a plush toy designer, illustrator, and maker of cute things. So welcome, Lisamarie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So we're going to get into it and our connection and how I met you. But first, if you want to just give a little background about yourself, a little bio.
Yeah, sure. So I am based about an hour south of Boston, and I've been sewing for 14 years now. And I make cute octopus plush toys, a sloth toy, and little bat buddies that wrap around your wrist and give you some comfort. And I basically design toys that I would have wanted as a kid. And I have a lot of mental health issues, and I think that it's something that's really needed in today's arena for kids. And I still want them to be really fun. So I actually don't push as hard as I probably should on the emotional half, because I feel like people kind of take advantage of that sometimes in their marketing. And I don't want to do that. I want it to be a fun toy first. And then it also just happens to be a nod to emotional health that kind of helps you on the side. So we're going to work on our marketing actually this year to adjust how we explain ourselves, because we just need a better way of explaining that for folks. We make really cute things.
I absolutely love that angle though. And the fact that you're like so willing to open up about, you know, your own mental health issues. So I think that's amazing. And we need more of that in the world, honestly. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Scatterbrain Handmade and how you came up with the idea, how it came into fruition. I mean, obviously this is your passion and you followed your dream. So tell me all about that.
And I have a crazy story too. I feel like I have a long-winded story, so I'll try to make it short but still entertaining. So it started in 2011. I'm from Massachusetts, but I moved to Texas, Austin, Texas. And I was only there for about 10 months when I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And so I had to move back home to Massachusetts because I still had health insurance here. And when I moved home, my grandmother had been diagnosed with leukemia about a month prior. So both myself and my grandmother were Italian, so we're super close. Were diagnosed with cancer, 2 blood cancers within like a month, 2 months difference. So we both moved into my mother's house so that she could kind of help care for both of us on 2 different chemo regimens. And my grandmother had already had cancer 2 other times. So we knew that this one was really weighing on her and that she wasn't going to make it through this round. We lost her a couple months into my treatment. And when I was little, she taught me to sew like pillowcases and like a duvet cover, but I didn't really sew other than that. And so when we both got sick, and it was a really awesome thing for me to be able to be with her in her last few weeks on earth, I started sewing again to kind of keep that emotional connection to her. She was a really important person in my life, and she was my mother's mom. And so when someone you love passes away, you know, you go through their house and you collect their belongings and things. And we went through, my grandmother was classic Italian, like slightly hoarder. So like everything. She had like my mom's like high school dresses in mint condition from prom from the 50s and 60s, like crazy. So I had gathered some fabric from my grandfather and my mom and my grandmother, and like some suitcases from the 50s. I have a suitcase obsession too. Brought it home and I made like a little toy. And I started sewing, not knowing what I was doing, but I was like, oh, I bet like I could make an octopus toy. Like octopus don't mean anything in specific to me. I get that question all the time. They're like, why octopus? Honest to God truth is it looked like an easy pattern to start with. It was a ball with 8 legs. I wish I had a more compelling answer. But when you're learning something new, you need to learn something that's easy. You don't start with the Mona Lisa, you know? And
Yeah.
so it looked easy. And so I was like, okay, like I made a ball with 8 legs that were all the same shape. And I severely messed it up, but I realized what I did wrong. But the process of making it, for some reason, was like cathartic. And it
Mm.
really just emotionally connected me to my grandmother because I was like cutting up fabric that was hers. And so I still have it. And I just kept doing it over and over and over again. I didn't want to keep cutting up the fabric that was hers. So I started to go to the Salvation Army and I would buy shopping carts full of clothing. So this is also like mental health kicking in, like issues at the same time if you think about it. Literal, like a shopping cart full of anything that reminded me of my grandmother or like my grandfather from the 50s. Corduroy pants, tweed jackets, hats, ties, just 50s, 60s looking materials. A lot of argyle, things like that. And I would
Mm.
come home, I'd wash it maybe twice with a little bit of bleach, add it in, cut it up, and start just sewing with it. I would make quilts, I would make bags, little zip purses, dog toy, anything I could to just try and learn how to sew. But it was just this memory of my grandmother for some reason and this weird connection that kept me close to her. And so I just kept doing it. And the octopus toy, it was comforting in a way, even though I have no affinity to them. It just, that one really stuck out. So even though I would like kind of go off and make little bags and other things, the octopus was something that I would keep going and making more of. And so I had so many at some point. I think I was at like chemo 7 or 8 out of 12, where I was like, I want to do a little like high school craft fair and like sell these to make money to go buy more fabric from the store to keep sewing because that's what I was. I was doing it from like not a selfish standpoint, but I didn't have enough money because I was buying so much from the Salvation Army of clothing that I was running out. And so I did a craft fair at a little high school. And the first kids that came up that picked up these like 3 octopus and were so excited about it. And they put their head on it right away and smuggled with it and were like just enamored with this thing that I made. It almost clicked. Like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to chase that feeling. I want to give this feeling that I feel so good making for somebody, but for myself, that's now making somebody else happy. Like, I just want to do that for the work. I don't know if that sounds crazy, but like, that's the honest to
No,
God
that's
truth.
amazing. Yeah,
And
it's out
so,
of love.
yeah. And so I just kept doing that for a while. And like, it was a hobby for a very long time. And I didn't have the confidence in myself to make it a full time thing for a very long time. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. But I was okay with it staying a hobby because my journey from having cancer and going through chemo to get back to where I am now was like, so when I got better from chemo, if you've known anyone that's gone through chemo or you've gone through it yourself, it really melts your brain and it just destroys your synapses. And so you're not yourself anymore. And the doctors always say, get used to the new you. You're not who you were before you had cancer. And they're right. And it takes a very long time for you to get back to even remotely close to that person. And for me, with someone that has a lot of anxiety and depression issues, especially when I was younger, that destroyed me. And it was really hard for me to bounce back, quote unquote. So the only thing that made me happy was making things. And I was sewing a lot and I was like, you know what? I want to go back to school for art. I know that. That's the one thing that I know. Let's just try that. So I went back to community college in Fall River, Massachusetts, and they have a absolutely fantastic art program there. And I really fell in love with teachers, the program. They really took me under their wing. I ended up doing really well. I got a sculpture scholarship out of that school. I had straight A's. So I got a scholarship to go to the California College of the Arts in San Francisco. And it was a great scholarship. It was a $60,000 scholarship to like a $90,000 a year school, which is insane.
Wow.
So I drove across the country and started school there. And keep in mind, I'm also 30 now. I was like 29. I had just turned 30 years old going back to college as an adult when these kids are like 18. So the age bracket difference is so vast from an 18-year-old to a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't have any friends, super lonely. And was really hard to meet just friends in general that you were on the same plane with. I remember leaving at like 8 o'clock at night to go to work, and the kids in like I was in like a dorm because I was trying to do it the cheap way. And they're like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I'm going to work." Like at the bar. And they're like, "Going to work now?" And coming back at 3 a.m. And I was like, "Yeah, I have to pay bills. Like, I don't have mommy and daddy's money to just, live." But anyways, so I went to school in California, and it was great at first. The studios were incredible. The shops were amazing, wood shop, metal shop. But slowly I just started to get really depressed, really lonely. And I just started to miss sewing more. And I had one class that really pushed me over the edge of anger and depression. And I remember sitting in that class being like, F this class. I'm over it. I don't want to be here. I'm just going to work. And so I would literally bring bundles of fabric with me to this class and trace out the fabric, cut it out while the teacher was lecturing in the back of the room. And I would literally be prepping out like 15 octopals in this class, being like, yeah, I got it. I'm just taking it in, but not taking it in. And I
Yeah.
did a business class while I was there in one of my last semesters. And the class was for like kids who have an idea for a project. They want to take their art and sell in the world. And because I had already been sewing this, I had an Instagram started. I had already been developed this pattern for an octopus. The teachers kind of took me aside and were like, "Look, we want you to make any other animal. We want you to do something fresh to help yourself kind of develop a new pattern because you kind of already have something and these kids are kind of starting out. You're a little bit more advanced." And so I did. And that's when I made the Fat Buddy. I was sad. I missed Texas. And that was when that development started. And at the end of that semester, I said, I don't want to be here anymore. I was super depressed. I had to go back on antidepressants, and I spoke to the teachers crying one day, and I was like, I just don't want to be here. Like, I want to go do this full time. And they were like, if you were 18, we would push you to stay. You're 30. You have something. You know what you want to do. Just go. And so I had one semester left, and I just left. Straight A student. I was like, get it. And so I just left school, and I came home. I was bartending for a summer when I came back just to kind of make a little bit more money. And I was still doing craft fairs on the side. But when I came home and I left school full time to work on Scatterbrain, I joined a program called E for All. And it's an entrepreneurship for all, where it's a 8-week business program where you get assistance from teachers and leaders in the community who help you build your business. And they give you legal advice, they help you with LLC, and it's incredible. It's an application process. You have to get accepted into the program. They only take 15 people out of however many applicants. But if you get in, it's 3 business classes, which is incredible. And at the end of the 2 months, you compete for like nominal prizes. You pitch at the end to a community and a group of judges. So I won like the grand prize, which was $4,000 for our cohort. And that money helped build my first displays, helped pay for shows in Boston. And it was great. It helped, buy fabric, thread, tools that I needed, sewing machine equipment. And that was going well for a while. And then COVID hit. And so now I didn't have any in-person shows, and I didn't really have a big enough online presence for that to make an impact for me for online sales. So I chased a dumb boy to the Caribbean. He was like,
We've all been there, right?
"Oh." It was, yeah. I met a guy after a couple of dates, and he was like, "Hey, I'm an engineer on a boat, and I work in the Caribbean for like a couple months at a time, and then I come home. And you can do it too. You can go apply to work on a super yacht for a couple of months, and then you can come back to Scatterbrain when your season kicks in and when COVID gets slower."
Is it like Below Deck? I'm sorry, have you
It's
seen?
exactly like Below Deck, except not as much drama. Like, definitely drama, just not as much as they like make it out to be.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
But
that's so
exactly
cool.
like that. Like, actually,
You lived Below Deck.
my Sienna, which is one of the boats that they had, that was my husband's boat that
Yes.
he worked.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I went
So
to St. Martin, and that was probably like one of the scariest decisions I ever made. I remember crying to my brother driving to the airport, and I was like, am I making the right decision walking away? Just starting my business in the last like couple of years. Am I doing the right thing? It was so scary to do this unknown thing. My brother's my biggest supporter. He was like, you're absolutely doing the right thing. Just go travel the world for however many months or whatever. You need this. You've been through so much. Just go.
Yeah.
And so the day I get down there, he broke up with me like on the spot. And now I was just in the Caribbean by myself being like, what do I do here? But I had done like the week training program in the Caribbean to like get my certificate to work at sea, the STCW. And that's the day I met my husband. He was like on the boat watching me walk up to the boat being like, wow, like that boat's getting a nice, pretty stew. And yachting's a very small industry. Everyone saw what happened. I was like, yeah, I'm not interested in dating. Like this just happened today. And so we kept having like friend dates. We would have like a nice like dinner date here and there. And we got closer and closer. And we would leave that island, go to another island and have like a goodbye date. And then like literally 2 days later, his boat would come into the same port that our boat was at. And so we did that for months. So anyways, my mom was home shipping out orders if I got an order, like every now and then, which was nothing because I wasn't pushing online. I wasn't home to push the brand. I was just working on a boat to save money and travel and kind of get that last hurrah out of my life before I settled down. And when I decided to leave the boat, I was in Italy. I'd only been yachting 8 months and I got to see a lot in a very short period of time. It was very exhausting work. I left the boat in September. And then Chris, who is now my husband, left shortly after that in the Bahamas and he flew up to Massachusetts and then he's been with us ever since. So we
That's
moved
amazing.
in shortly after only a few months of living together, got pregnant, and now we have our son, who's 3 in a couple of months. And we do shows up here in the Boston area and we're starting to travel a little bit and do more shows. We want to have a second baby. So we're kind of like planning and finagling. So we
Oh,
had like a
that's
really
amazing.
big circle of traveling to get to where we are.
Yeah, to end up back home.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, going away to art school, that in and of itself, like leaving your home, everything behind, going to pursue something new, and then realizing it's not for you, like that had to have been a really hard realization, right?
I honestly think it
Like,
was more depressing and like I just had such weird mental health issues and depression and anxiety was really rough for me for some reason, like pre-baby. I don't know why it got better for me after I got pregnant. Most people, it's the opposite, but
yeah.
mine kind of leveled out. But for me, I mean, depression was a seriously big struggle for me, and medication was always an issue. Nothing ever worked. It was either anxiety med and like some depression med for a little while, and then it wouldn't work. And I'd have like a breakdown and I'd be crying for 4 days. So it just felt lonely. I always felt like I was trying to do something really creative that made me happy. And I was always chasing that happy, but there was always this like mental health monster that was trying to just claw me down. And it was always this fight kind of back and forth dealing with that.
Yeah, I appreciate your willingness to share that because that's,
And I
super
don't
rough.
really share it that much too on Instagram. I should share it more. I'm pretty quiet about how bad the depression was.
I mean, you say like post baby, pre baby, all like hormones are so bizarre. So who
Yes.
knows like what goes on in our body. But yeah, I think like being able to recognize that and pull yourself out of it, that takes so much courage.
It's tough. And I think every year that I was further away from chemo, it got better. Like I always had this idea to do an art project where I would build my brain and it would be like a sculpture of a brain with copper wire with like synapses. Cause you know what's like brain synapses look like little
Mhm.
wire connections and things. I feel like wax and like motor oil was just poured on mine. That's kind of how I explain chemo to people, where it just like disintegrates key areas of your brain where like my memory is terrible and just key functioning things aren't there anymore. And it takes years for those synapses to rebuild and they don't rebuild the same way. There's like no way for them to go back to the exact, they always come back in some other connection. And I think for some people, that's really hard to go through, let alone having mental health issues on top of that. It's a tough thing to deal with.
Yeah. Do you think you wouldn't have turned Scatterbrain into a business if it wasn't for your experience at school? Like, were you headed that way anyways?
I attribute cancer to scatterbrain 100%. That's actually why it's called scatterbrain, because when I was going through treatment, I had the attention span of an elephant or no, wait, no, goldfish. Elephants have really good memory.
Right.
I would have like 15 projects all over the house, and I would have like maybe a 30-minute window at best of focus. And then I would either get tired or I would just kind of trail off and like get disinterested. So I had all these projects all over the house half finished. So I was just super scattered all the time. Or like someone would be talking to me and having a conversation. I would just look out the window and just be like, oh, are you talking to me? It was that bad. chemo. So when I was trying to think of a name, when I came to the word scatterbrain, I was like, that's actually really fun because it's silly. It's not what people will realize, but I think it's a fun connection. And I like to be really colorful and bright and all over the place. But that's used in a way that makes people happy. And I think a lot of like ADHD and depression things like use a lot of color to brighten people. And it just fit for me.
Yeah. It's a really fun name. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, so you are obviously a millennial mom and an entrepreneur, and you have a lot of things going on, balls in the air. And I talk a lot about mental load, invisible labor, all that falls on us as women, as mothers, the managing of tasks more so than actually like carrying out and doing tasks, like all that planning and
Yeah.
organizing. Can you explain like how that is for you? How do you manage your mental load, your support system? Like what does that look like as a mom and entrepreneur
The
running your own
mental load
business?
is it's aggressive. Um,
Yeah.
you really have to build yourself a routine. And if you don't, everything will fall through because something always happens, no matter what. For me, if your son's sick and he's home from school, which will happen more often than not when they're younger because of daycare and,
Mhm.
you don't get the time you think you have. And so more often than not, I'm racing myself to get things done knowing something is going to interrupt me. And if I think that way, I actually get more things done, which sucks, but I've slowly been able to build a good routine. And because I do have ADHD, like I'm very routine oriented. I'm very all over the place with a lot of things, but I'm very type A with like supplements, my routine in the morning. And I attribute that to being successful on the days I can work. My son is in daycare Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and those are the 3 days I can get work done. I know my window of myself for when I am most productive. So I try to get those emails, Instagram planned things scheduled in the morning because that's when I am most focused. If I do it later in the day, it's not.
Yeah.
Someone's going to call, he's going to come home school, get called sick from school or a doctor's appointment or this or that or errands or something I forgot. So I try to schedule the most important things that I don't want to do first thing in the morning because I won't want to do them later the closer it is to pick up. And I try to squeeze things in during nap time. But I used to just burn the candles so aggressively before having a child at night that I would burn myself out. And over the years, I've really had to teach myself that if you are exhausted and you're pouring from an empty cup, you are doing no one a service. You are doing yourself the biggest disservice because now you're exhausted and you can't think straight anyways. But that exhaustion just keeps running into the next day and the next day. So I went to bed at 8:15 last night. I was exhausted. I got crappy sleep the night before, and I was like later, and just was out cold.
Yeah.
Um,
I love an
you
8 o'clock
really have to
bedtime.
yeah, like we're done. We're
Yeah.
YouTube Network for an hour. We're out. I really try to use self care more now because for so long I beat myself up physically that like I didn't for so many years. The mental load is tough. Trying to balance taking care of the house, laundry, Levi, packing lunch, making sure he is clean, the house is clean, his needs are met, dinner's met. My husband cooks a lot, which is great and really helpful, especially on the days I'm home. It kills me to every single mother out there that works from home. Because you work from home, you're expected to like switch the laundry, get dinner ready, do this, that. And it's like, you're working. If your office was not at home, you would not be flipping laundry. You would be waiting to do those things. Or my other thing that kills me is like, I always get the comment, schedule your dentists and your doctor's appointments on the days that Levi's in school. I'm like, yeah, so I can interrupt the only 3 days a week that I get, which is still 2 days less than every other normal human. So
Right.
I can work even less. It drives me nuts. So it's really hard to balance that. And it's still a work in progress. I think for everybody, it's a continual evolving work in progress to figure out how to adjust your mental load because it's always changing. And I thankfully have a wonderful partner that helps with at least cooking a lot. He's a terrible
Mhm.
cleaner. Sorry.
I
But
have the
he's
same
amazing.
situation.
He's great. I will do the dishes every night.
Yeah.
He will cook every night. But he's an amazing father. He'll take care of Levi. He's great. So it's just balancing that and then balancing childcare for the weekends. He's basically home watching Levi when I'm at a show in Boston. That's the other thing too, is like the time frame for a show. Oh, there's a weekend market. 11 to 6 weekend market. Yeah, 11 to 6. I'm up at 5:30 to get ready for that show, to leave the house at 7, to be in Boston by 8, to be set up by 10:30, 11, and then you get home at 8:30 at night. It's not an 11 to 6 thing. It's a 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. day. And so I don't see my son that day at all. There's a lot of unseen mental load that's
Yeah.
invisible for things that people aren't aware of when it comes to running a business that's craft based, that are heavy.
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, so many things you said I want to respond to. Just the pre-kids, post-kids, the amount of time that I feel like I had that I squandered before I had
Yeah.
children is ridiculous. And
Yep.
now the stuff that I get done with 2 kids is so much more than anything I ever got done before kids, which is amazing. Like, something in you definitely flips when you become a mother. But being at home, working from home, everything falls on you. When the kids get sick, like you say, like, you're already there, so they just come and disrupt you. My husband, he works in a plant, so he can't as easily leave. And, again, he's a great partner and I respect all the help. He does cook for us every night, but that falls on you. That disrupts your day. You have to figure it
Right.
out. The laundry, the dishes. Like, how do you walk past a sink when you go to get your lunch when you're at home and it's
Right.
full of dishes and not put the dishes in the
Doesn't phase
dishwasher?
them, no.
No,
Doesn't phase
no,
men.
but then you just go upstairs and you're just, like, thinking about it. It's that mental
Yep.
load. But yeah, and then, like, being gone all day, that the mom guilt, like, how do
Yeah.
you deal with
Yeah.
all of that?
Snowport's the worst. I don't know if, did you see us in Boston by any chance? Were you up visiting for that show at some point?
Yes, so I did see a bunch of your posts about Snowport, but this guy that I brought with me here, we can, like, talk about this now since we're on the topic. I was visiting Boston with my husband and my brother and sister-in-law. And the boys, they had gone to like a brewery. So it was my sister-in-law. We were like walking around shopping and we were down in the harbor. It was June of 2018 because I was pregnant with my first. And I was like barely out of the first trimester. Like, we had just started telling people, but we came upon your stand and like this guy caught my eye immediately because I was like, oh my gosh, that's the color, teal or aqua or whatever you want to call it, that I'm going to paint the baby's room. Like, I can't believe it.
Oh,
So my
I love it.
sister-in-law, she's like, well, I have to buy it for you then. So he became the first toy, plushie, anything that my son had. Like,
Oh,
anything that
I
I've ever
love
gotten
it.
for either of my kids, this was the first thing.
I love that.
Um, so now, like, I don't let him play with it. It just, like, kinda sits on top of his bookcase so that he doesn't he doesn't destroy it. But, yeah, it kinda, like, turned into a tradition for us. So I had my daughter a couple years later, and my sister-in-law found you and bought one of your sloth buddies for her. So that was her first Scatterbrain toy, and then she had 2 kids, so then I was buying her octopals, and
I
then,
love
of course,
it.
like, your jammies came out this year.
Oh,
Immediately, I pre-ordered those so quick for all 4 kids. I was like, "Everybody needs these
I was
jammies." So,
so happy when I got the photo from you. I was like, "Babe, look at these kids. This is so cute."
yes, I took a picture of my kids in their octopel jammies in front of our Christmas tree. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I shared it with Lisamarie because, honestly, this has become, like, a really heartwarming, like, family tradition for us.
I love
And
that.
this little guy, I will keep forever. Like, he
I
means a
love him
ton to
too.
me. So, yeah.
It makes me
That's
so
how we
happy.
originally connected.
And it's so funny, like, for the longest time, like, he's made from upholstery fabric that I don't remember where I had found that material, but for probably the first 7 or 8 years, I only used recycled fabric, upholstery fabric, or, like, faux fur, like, fun, unique looking materials. Like, that's not stuffed animal fabric. It's, like, tougher, but it's very soft,
Y yeah.
and so for a long time, like, because of my grandparents, like, that's the mindset I was still very hobby based, not business based, and I started to I forget, I think I made the pirate as the first character and the Frankenstein. And I made a couple like of the Frankenstein and I saw like those were selling right away. I was like, oh, I need to do characters. Like that makes more sense. And so that worked a lot faster instead of making, a one off. Like for one pair of pants, I could probably get like 3 or 4 octopals, depending on the size of the pants, maybe more if they're like triple XL. But I did 250 Rosie the Riveters out of recycled denim. Company Reprieve donated this denim to me when I explained what I was doing. And they're like, yeah, here's like a bunch of pounds of denim. I was like, this is amazing. And they sold like pretty fast. And that's when I realized like this needs to be a permanent character. Like this needs to not just be a one-off because initially I was like, oh, it's going to be a special edition. I should tell everybody. I felt so bad. Like it's a special edition. It's a limited character. And everyone's like, I thought this was limited. Because like Rosie to me was like a big deal. She was like my power. Like, yeah, like I can do this. Like no matter what garbage you're going through, like you can do this. You can work hard. You can get through this. So Rosie was like my little important icon for myself. And so she was the first one in the women empowerment series. And once that happened, everything started to click. I started to work on who else I thought would be a really cool person from history to do. And that's when we came out with Amelia. And Amelia sold so well. I didn't think it's weird. I only have 3 of them, but each one has surpassed the previous one really well. Like my husband's like, are you sure Ruth is going to sell that well? We have Amelia Earhart, Rosie the Riveter, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And we came out with Ruth last year. And I was like, no, Ruth is going to go over really well. And I was in my head crossing my fingers and like she blasted Amelia in sales. And it made me really happy. And for the faith of the nation that she sold so well. So that makes me really happy. We've got some good ones coming up. But yeah, like that's a permanent line now. And it's really fun to design the characters that I do have coming out. And I like to design like silly, fun things. But now that I am fully manufactured, it's taken a very long time. I've slowly, one by one, gone into that route. I've been hoarding fabric for like 4 years of fabric that I want to turn into things. And so now that I am fully manufactured and the tariffs have just caused a boatload of issues for everybody, I'm craving, especially because I'm dealing with a lot of like health issues again recently. I'm craving a nice pop of creativity right now. And so this is the perfect timing for me to do another handmade batch release. So I'm actually working on, not quite sure how I'm going to bracket it out yet, but I think we're going to do like a monthly release. Like this is what I have for this month and it's going to drop on this date. And whatever we have is going to be in the shop, but it's all handmade fabric again. I still have all my regular characters, but it's just going to be a handmade section of the website and we'll have them in person too. And then we'll just kind of, whenever I decide to stop, we'll stop.
I love that. Honestly, I think that's going to go over so well. Like, I'll probably buy some because it's more limited edition. And then I don't know, there's something about this guy that resonates with me. But
We're working on, behind the scenes, we're working on a book series. We will have multiple books.
ooh,
Yeah. There'll be one first initial book, and then the Bat Buddies will have a separate story. Sully will have a separate
oh,
story. Like, we're going to do a continual book series. And then we also have a giant floor puzzle that we're working on as well. And so those are the other creative things that we have kind of like behind the scenes that you can't see going on. But we'll slowly start to post a little bit about it once we have some graphics that we can show as part of that. But I have a buddy in California that I went to undergrad with that is an animator. And so he's helping me on the book. So I'm actually not going to be illustrating it. I'm trying to delegate, which I'm really bad at, but I'm going to have someone else like work on that with me. We'll storyboard that out.
that's so exciting. Yeah, I think, like I say, the jammies, those are such a hit with the kids. And just like being able to say, like, oh, I see my friend, like Octopal here, and then I have this one, and they're playing with
Yeah.
these. So that's really amazing. And I love your women empowerment focus. I mean, putting something that you're passionate about into your art is such
Yeah.
a cool thing. You mentioned earlier about filling up your cup and, if you're depleted, you're not able
Yeah.
to, help anybody around you, which is so valid. Like, what do you do personally to help fill up your cup and avoid that
So
burnout?
I'm one of those, I'm in the group of women that can't do things until everything is clean in the house. Even though I can deal with it, I can deal with things being messy and like stuff being everywhere. But if I have to do anything that's like kind of a big project, I need a clean slate to mentally focus. And so if I have a big project or a deadline, I'm procrastinating because I'm cleaning. Like the kitchen, the bedroom, the bathroom, the studio. Like if I know where
Yep.
everything else is, because I know I'm about to make a huge mess, and at least I'll know that everything else is taken care of. And that's how my brain processes it. So I think for at least that part of it, I clean a lot, and that weirdly is helpful to me. It calms me down to have things tidy. I do ginger baths a lot to like kind of step back for personal care. This is a fun little thing for listeners to try. When I was finishing treatment, I was like 3 months out of chemo, and I went back for my 3 month checkup, and I still felt like absolute garbage. And I asked my doctor, like, why do I still feel like I'm going through chemo? Like, I literally feel like I had chemo last week. And he said, your lymphatic system is so gunked up with sludge and toxic waste that your body is operating at like a complete minimal, like low. So your body is just heavy with toxins still. And he said, I recommend doing a ginger bath. He goes, do two things. He goes, get $30 kids trampoline. Just jump on the trampoline gently for 10 minutes a day. Physically shake up your lymphatic system and try a ginger bath. Take 2 tablespoons of ground ginger, tablespoon dollar store, Walmart ginger, throw it in a warm bath, pretty hot bath. And you can even throw some Epsom salt in there too and just soak in it 20 minutes. The first bath I ever took in my life, I will never have that experience ever again because I had so much crap in my system that I will never, ever let out that much stuff again. I was sweating immediately. You just turn bright red and your pores just sweat out stuff like toxins in your body. And then that whole night after, like rinsed off in the shower, I went to bed, slept like a rock. I could not believe the amount of sleep I got that night. I sweat through all my pajamas, through my sheets. The whole next day, I sweat the entire day. I'd changed my clothes twice. And then the day after that, because I felt like crap the day after, I was like, wow, like I am just disgusting. I am like a swamp monster. Like, this is insane. And then the second day, I was like, I feel amazing. Like, this is incredible. I literally feel like I just dumped 10 pounds of garbage out of my system. And so I kept doing that for a while. I did it like once a week. Now I do it probably once a month. Like, if you drink alcohol, if you have too much sugar, if you're getting a cold, if you're getting over a cold, anything that like disrupts your system, ginger helps pull out toxins in your body. So it just kind of helps reset your system. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It's a super simple thing to try. Just 2 tablespoons of ginger. The more you do it, you can throw in more, but that's probably something I do for self-care for myself. Probably the most is like I'll do a ginger bath night, and like Chris knows he'll put Levi to bed that night, and like I'll take a bath. I'll have my laptop propped up in the bathroom and I'll watch like America's Got Talent like or The Office for the 900th time.
Yeah.
Big Office fan. Um,
Same.
yeah, like the eyebrows and like go to bed.
That's really interesting, and I've never heard of such a thing.
Highly
Um,
recommend. Yeah.
I love The Office. I actually got an Office Polly Pocket for Christmas, so
Oh my God, that's
it's
amazing.
like the best of both worlds. I love that they're bringing back the mini Polly Pockets, by the way,
You know,
because they
that was
made them
such a thing
big.
when we were kids. That was like, yeah, because we're only a year apart. Like, I remember having Polly Pockets. They were
Mhm.
awesome. Yeah.
I can't wait because now I'm gonna start buying them for my daughter. Like, they made them big for a while, and they were really, like, weird, and I was like, "Ah, it's not the same," but they
You
made
can
them small
go to
again
the
soon.
house too. Yeah, there's like, they made like a Polly Pocket,
Oh, really? I would do that.
like house, but it's like real sized. You can
Yeah,
go and stay there overnight. I forget where it is. I think it's in Massachusetts. Google that. It's
yeah,
amazing to see it.
yeah, I will. That's pretty awesome. This was so great hearing your story. I think you're so inspirational. Like, honestly, reading your Instagram posts that went through all your health challenges, I can't get over like how resilient you are and just how focused you are on like fulfilling something that you're so passionate about, like even when it's hard. And I think especially like when it's hard, that makes it extra special. So last year I started a business and I'm trying to like turn this podcast and my blog and everything into more than
Yeah.
just a hobby. So for other mamas out there who are, trying to make it work or just came up with an idea or in the midst of like trying to make an idea grow, or maybe like they're in the infancy of their business, like what advice would you give them that you maybe wish you had when you were starting off?
I think I really wish I listened because I'm so stubborn. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. Keep going. no one just jumps from 0 to 100 right away. It takes time. It takes hard work. If you don't know how to do something, find someone that does. I think I've wasted more time and more energy trying to do something myself and having it come out good or okay than just finding someone and paying someone or working with someone, if you can't pay them right away or something to do it for you. I have a problem delegating. And so really try to find the resources that can help you grow in whatever area of your business that you're working on and believe in yourself. I know as cheesy as that sounds, don't think hobby based. Like there's so many millions of people out there trying to do the exact same thing, like start a business in some like facet, and we never have enough faith and confidence in ourselves. This is going to sound so cheesy, but we just started a Kids Strong program for my son. We go on Sundays. It's a gym program for toddlers. And they say like, I'm strong. I'm confident. I can do this. And I make the kids like superhero pose and like thumbs up, like say that to
Yeah.
yourself, like be your best hero, be your best superhero for yourself, because sometimes you have to be. And there's always somebody online looking at you going, man, I wish I could be that person. I
Mhm.
look up to so and so. Like, I don't think highly of myself at the moment where I'm at, but I'm looking at X, Y, and Z and I'm being like, wow, they're amazing. And there's someone, that I'm getting an email from that's like, hey, this is so cool. We value you so much. And you never know where someone is in their day when they get that email and you're like, oh, so I think if we're just more confident in ourselves, it goes a lot further than you think. And just tell yourself that every day, 30 days.
It's so fun. And the kids do their affirmations that they learn at school and in other places, and I should take a page out of their book. Do you do anything like along the lines of manifestation, or do you believe in, putting good vibes out there or manifesting like what you want your future to be
I
like?
should be better at it. I'm really bad at meditating because I'm so like off the walls, like, oh, look, squirrel. But I definitely feel if you're a good person and you do good things and you work hard, that good things will come to you. And like, just be a good person, do good things. And if someone's walking down the street and I have like a nice jacket, be like, I love your jacket. Little tiny comments make someone else's day, and you don't know where that person's at in their life. And that little comment could literally make or break their day. And so I just feel like people should just be nicer. So just try to be a nice person. And I don't really manifest like stuff, but I don't like do affirmations, but I probably should. But I just try to be a good person.
Yeah, you're so right. Preach. Everyone needs to be nicer.
Yeah. Ruth, where's Ruth? We need more Ruth.
Yeah, really. Yeah, so that's all I had for you. This has been so amazing, and I want
Yeah,
to make
thank you
sure
so
that
much.
I want to make sure our listeners can find you. So I'll put all your information in the socials, but you have your website and then your Instagram. Is there anything else?
Our Facebook's connected to the website too, but I basically just anything I post on Instagram just goes directly to Facebook. But the
Mhm.
website, scatterbraintoys.com, and the Instagram, Scatterbrain Toys, are like the two main ways to get a hold of me. And then we will be doing both the Snowport Holiday Show in Boston again this winter. And then we are applying for the DC version this year as well. So hopefully we get into DC so that we can travel a little bit.
Oh, that's so exciting.
And see.
Yeah. Do you have anything? I know you mentioned you have your puzzles, your book series. Like, is there you just finished your contest, your design contest
Everything
yesterday, right?
finished
That closed.
yesterday. We've got all kinds
Yeah.
of fun stuff. I just did a triple giveaway. I'm going to have Levi pick one. I'm going to write all the names down out of a hat. I did a design contest I do annually every year that's growing every year. We do it every January, February, March. And then we had a sale just ended yesterday too. So our next fun thing, we'll probably do a like spring into summer sale in probably a month or two. And then we'll be in person at the Greenway on Saturdays in Boston starting in a month, May.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Is it already May? Oh my
I
gosh.
know. Yeah,
Next month.
we're scared, but also like, oh my God, let's go. Like we want warm weather.
Yeah. Very true. It's been a little too cold and snowy lately. So,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for
Yeah,
your
thank you
time.
so much
Thank you
for having
for
me.
sharing your story, being vulnerable. I mean, this has been amazing. So
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Let's talk about it. It was cathartic.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. And for everybody listening, we will catch you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Momming as a Millennial. If you enjoyed the episode, please share it with a friend or on social. You can find more from me at contemplativemama.com. Until next time.